What's going on, friends? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video, this week's video, a little bit different than the last couple of weeks. We have our friend Charles in town who has been living here in New Zealand for about 2 years. He's going to be helping out around the property. I don't know if he signed up to be our first woofer, but no. But that's just the way the cookie is crumbled. We'll do a couple of things around the house, and then we're gonna do a tour of Charles's handmade DIY camper van. So for all of you aspiring van life viewers out there, Charles is gonna walk us through what I think is one of the most beautifully done van conversions that I've ever had the pleasure of seeing in person. So stay tuned for that. Let's get in the video.
Hey, I'm Charles. This is my van. Let's take a look around, eh? So yeah, I arrived in New Zealand just with the backpack and a surfboard. I hitchhiked for about 6 months, and I knew that for what I wanted to do, that wasn't going to be feasible. So I focused on getting a van and, building it. And yeah, this is what I ended up with. When I first got it, there was basically nothing. It was just a queen mattress inside and a little kitchen out the back. And yeah, I got some access to some tools, and I got a chance to just build it. I'm no carpenter, but I've done like small little things here and there. But this was by far like the biggest project I've ever done. And I wasn't expecting it to put this much time into it. It was more like, oh, this could look nice, and I'll do this and I'll do that, and kind of learning from other people and getting just experiencing by doing it and doing it wrong and building a bunch of crappy stuff, and then finally ending up with something nice. Well, the van I got a pretty sweet deal on it. It was about $3,500. You can probably find these with a good price on $5,000. And as far as money spent on it, I got really lucky because I was living in Wanaka at the time. And if you guys know Wanaka, there's a really great recycle center there, and that's basically where I went for all my building materials. I think I've maybe spent max, I think $500 on the whole build. Wow. And that's pretty cheap. Well, it's the classic Toyota Hiace that you'll find it here in New Zealand and Japan, mostly imported from Japan. I bought it with 250,000 Ks, which is pretty good for a diesel. These are well known to reach 500,000 no problem. So that was my main kind of when I was looking for a van. I wanted something with low KMs. And yeah, I wasn't really expecting to build a whole van at the time. I just really needed something that I could go freedom camping with and have my surfboards in there and just do my whole lap around the country. I think it's at it's nearly 290 right now. So yeah, mostly surf checks. I've gone around South Island, all of it, and I've gone around the North Island a couple times. If there was a road that I could go on, I took this van. Yeah, it's been quite an adventure. She's been my companion, but unfortunately I'm heading back to California, and yeah, sad to go, but yeah, it's been nice so far.
And is the van gonna find a new home?
Yeah, actually it already has a new owner. We've already made a deal. I'm basically gonna leave it at the airport, and he's gonna come pick it up. Yeah, I think he'll be stoked with it. It's hard work, lots of hard work done on it. So yeah, hopefully he enjoys it as much as I did. So yeah, this is basically my kitchen. When I was building it, I just had a piece of ply right here. And at first I was like, oh, it'll be cheap. But then since it's it's the face of the van basically, so I wanted a nice piece. And I got so lucky that in Wanaka, they have just construction materials that they just don't use, or they took it out from some other place. So these used to be actually just doors. They had some holes on it and whatnot, but yeah, I bought them for I think it was $30, 4 doors with these type of wood grain. And yeah, I cut it up basically for whatever I needed. Everything was built with these kind of pattern, this wood pattern. They used to be doors, and whatever is not that was from headboards, just from beds. Yeah, I would buy it and treat it, sand it, finish it with some linseed oil, cut it up, and yeah. This like separating wall right here, like if you can imagine, this is one of the doors basically, and I just cut it out with the outline and made my little window here.
Cut that window.
Yeah.
Look at that.
You know, you park up and sometimes there's lights everywhere, so
Wow.
yeah, just impromptu window.
You made that window too?
Yeah. Made this little window.
How was that? Was that hard?
I thought it was gonna be harder than it was, but I never built a window before, so I was like, oh, just like put a board in front of it and just make it slide on another piece of wood underneath. And yeah, I have a couple catchers on the other side. So yeah, this used to be a full door. And the counter here, this was like, yeah, a bedboard. Like you can even like see like these two pieces that I cut. And yeah, just basically made a nice counter with a beautiful sink that I got for $5 also. First I was gonna buy just one of those normal metal sinks, but they're kind of pricey for what I wanted. So at the time I just wanted to hit the road, and this was like one of the last things I needed. And I just found this sink and I was like, oh, I'll just put that in there. I even like just cut a small hole so I didn't, mess it up. But it actually has been like super functional, and looks quite nice. It's one of the, main details of the van.
Definitely. So you have, this is your water setup here?
Yeah.
How does it work?
So, for freedom camping in New Zealand, you have to have a tap water and water tanks. I don't really use like a tap water. So this is actually just a shower head that I used to rinse my boards and my wetsuit. I can use it for the sink, but I don't know. I just found that it was much easier just to use a little cup with water, hot water to clean it, and it just goes like in there.
So is there a pump for that?
Yeah, it's hooked up to a 12 volt, just to the battery of the van.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And then that runs a little pump so you can take a shower after service?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. I mean, yeah, just rinse.
Yeah.
Rinsing feels nice, and yeah, you got, this is like probably, this is all the kitchen stuff goes in here. This is the gray water tank. The water tank is actually in the back there, so it's connected to the back.
It's behind that.
Exactly, yeah, the passenger seat. And yeah, I just like keep like kitchen and shower stuff. Moving on to the stove. It's all kind of complicated here because I am limited in space. So there's like a whole system to operate. So if you want to open here, you gotta open this one out, and it kind of bifolds. So I can get my stove out. Nice 3-burner stove. And yeah, this is where I pretty much do all my cooking. I have my gas tank in here. It's not hooked up now, but yeah, just LPG. And yeah.
So then you can get a 3-burner stove going in here.
Yeah.
And that's sufficient to cook pretty much anything you need.
Yeah, I mean, even like just 2 burners would be fine, but 3, I can get like proper meal going in it. And then same deal here. I got my little chili bin here.
Oh, nice. So you have refrigeration?
Yeah. It's empty now, but on the road I would just keep like a couple ice packs. And it's hooked up to also the car battery, so whenever I would drive, it would like turn on and keep cool, and it was enough, especially like in the colder months. Yeah. It was fine. Could keep cheese, milk, yeah, whatever needed it. And yeah.
So what do you think was the hardest part about building the kitchen?
Honestly, like just building a whole, because this whole furniture comes out because there's like a transmission access that if anything happened to the van, the mechanics would have to access it. So basically this whole thing comes out. Basically building a big piece of furniture, which I've never done before, was like quite a task. And somebody just told me like, yeah, just start from the bottom up and it'll make it more simple. So that's what I did. I just had a piece of ply that I had before. If you look in here, yeah, it's just a piece of ply. And you build the walls, bottom up, and then put the counter. And yeah, you just slowly but surely, you just kind of keep putting parts of the puzzle in.
And everything was either thrifted
Yeah.
or purchased secondhand.
Yeah, even like the handles, you know, basically all the hardware, the hinges, the screws, it was basically from thrift stores. You just
Insane.
scavenging for them.
And so the whole process of building the van, how long do you think it took?
It's hard because it was kind of sporadically building, and like I said, like I wasn't expecting to build like such a project. It was more like just like, oh, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do this. So I think all in all, it was about 2 weeks of like just like, you know, every night working on it. Yeah.
Add it all up. I mean,
Yeah, I think
that's
so.
pretty nice for 2 weeks of work. It's taken me 2 months to paint my house so far. So.
And I think my favorite part of the kitchen, so like I said, this whole thing comes out, and I had like a weird gap here that I didn't know what to do with it. You know, I thought I was like, oh, maybe I'll do a little like wine storage thing, but I don't know, like, so for it to actually work, I built this little like spice rack that, yeah, you just kind of, you can take it out even, so you have this gap that was there, and I can move this out and pull it out if I wanted to.
Wow, that's amazing. That just fits your rules, right?
Yeah, it fits perfect, and it also was awesome because I always had problem with keeping the drawers closed. So if I just lock this one in place, and I can just lock all the other drawers to it, so you know it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, like if you're doing a turn, not all the cabinets are opening.
Yeah, I mean, it was more, you know, definitely happened to me where I just took a turn and you just hear everything in the back like sliding out, and you just kind of close your eyes and like, oh.
Yeah, totally. That happened when we rented a van. It was a Toyota Hiace as well. And you take a big turn and then everything's just
And you know,
all over the place.
kitchen stuff like tends to make a particular kind of sound that sounds not too pleasant.
Yeah. Shattered porcelain.
Yeah, and like cutlery everywhere. And, yeah.
Wow.
And this is actually native New Zealand wood, which if you were just to buy it like a piece of hardwood, it would be at least like $100. But same thing, these used to be just headboards from beds that people, you know, give them away. You buy and you strip out the varnish, and you'll find out like, oh, this is actually a nice piece of wood. And use, you know, a little bit of elbow grease, and yeah. So I guess this is the living room / bedroom. I think my favorite part of the van is my little coffee shrine I have going on here, and it's also where I eat my dinner. So it's just a drop down table, and yeah, I have like all my essentials basically, my morning ritual, and yeah, some tea and coffee. For VanLife, I think AirPress works the best. It's just easy to clean. And I wouldn't say I'm a coffee snob, but I do appreciate some freshly ground beans every morning, which, you know, some people see me doing it and it's like quite loud and quite a few, you know, manual labor involved with every morning. But I don't know, when you're living this kind of life, you really want to do the things that make you happy, and it's a nice way to start your morning. You know, it's a nice little ritual.
How did you come up with the little drawbridge system?
You know, like I've definitely researched when I was thinking about like what kind of layout I wanted in my van, and I've seen these like before, where it's, you know, it's just a little drop table, but I've never built one before, and it was like, oh, just like put some couple chains and screw them. But I got kind of fancy with it. I even built like these are actually for wine glasses that you can hang.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
By the stem?
Yeah, exactly. Usually go here, but I'm not that big of a drinker, so maybe the next owner will use it more than I will. And when I bought this, it was, you know, all rusted and the wood was all messed up, so it was like a nice little project I had to just clean it all up.
So what, steel wool and sandpaper and linseed oil?
Yeah, basically, pretty much.
Are those the 3 pieces of equipment for this van that would be the most important?
Yeah, for sure. I think I spent like the most time like sanding the wood, because I don't know, it's like such a nice feeling when you have like a nice smooth surface, and that first little coat of oil, you know, drops in on the wood. It's like something special, eh?
Yeah.
So I definitely take pride on that. And if anybody that's watching does the van life, they know storage is a big thing. Fortunately, besides my surfing equipment, I don't really have much. So I've had enough room for everything I needed. So these are just storage. First I originally was gonna put a second battery, like a leisure battery here. Like I even like left room for ground wire and everything, but I don't know, it was, most of the time was just me, and like I said, I've been in New Zealand basically just surfing, and you just get out of the water, you come in the van, make a coffee, like that. This is one of those like sliding kind of beds, and yeah, you just kind of pull the mattress out, and voila, you got a full-on, basically bed. Yeah, this is like most of the time in the van life, you just pull up to a spot, you know, usually near the ocean. Yeah, and just chilling here. You got the coffee right here. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And this is actually also another, like the actual mattress was also from an op shop, and it was just a mat that was on an outdoor swing. And I saw it and I was like, I think it's the perfect size. And it looks pretty comfy, and I just asked the people there, I was like, I don't really want the swing, but could I have the mattress? And they're like, yeah, for like $30. So I said, sweet, I'll take it. And it's super comfy. You know, some people use just a foam mattress, but it's not enough when you're in a van. So this is perfect.
So what's your light situation?
Very simple. I have like, you know, like just battery operated little LEDs here for, you know, super dark and you need to find something. But it's very much just setting the mood. Like I said, I don't need much electricity in the van, at least for my lifestyle. So. But this actually is pretty cozy. Kind of pops the grain of the wood nicely with the warm.
So how did you get the ceiling? Like it's curved.
Yeah. So basically, the van just came with these crossbars, which were gray originally. And I think this is probably one of the most expensive pieces I bought in the van, which is just a whole piece of plywood, which is a cheap, but compared to everything else. And yeah, I took the crossbars out, put it up. I treated it all nicely, and then I drilled some holes for the light system. And yeah, it just kind of pushes back up there.
So you slid that in between the crossbars and the roof of the car?
Yeah. It was, you know, it used to be just like a gray roof, but I knew I wanted, like, it's like such a big piece of the van, so I was like, oh, it'd be nice to at least have some wood, you know.
It has a vibe of like a sailboat.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely the size of one, eh? Yeah. Like a tiny single person one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I just got so lucky with the wood grain. When I actually bought the doors, it was just this ugly brown varnish over it. So I can see how somebody could just overlook it. But yeah, just after you sand it and you actually see the grain of the wood, and yeah, I think it definitely makes a big difference for this van, yeah.
So if you had any tips for future van builders, van lifers, what do you think you'd...
I think it can be very overwhelming, but like I said, you know, this is my first build, and you know, you look up on like online and you see like a lot of videos, and people just go to the store and they just buy a bunch of stuff and they have everything they need. But like I said, you know, I really was like just trying to like do something simple, but yeah, just look for secondhand materials, you know, like it makes such a big difference. You think like a door handle, it's like not that much of a cost, but it all adds up, and the more you can cut on costs, the more freedom you'll have and to build something nice, you know, because that's basically what it was. Like I could always like build something new just because you just find materials here and there, and you're like, oh yeah, this fits. So yeah, so just look for secondhand materials. Op shops in New Zealand are great.
Yeah. right, friends. It's Sunday morning and I am in here in the living room and I am officially halfway done with the last coat of paint. And just feeling really happy about it. You know, this has come along so much and this space already feels so much better. It's so much better. It's just crazy what a good paint job can do to a space. But it's been hard. This room takes a while. It takes me about an hour 45, almost 2 hours to do one lap around here. But I'm taking my time and I'm actually listening to the Audible version of Dune because I'm excited for that movie to come out and see that film. And I oftentimes like to read the book beforehand, but I had an Audible credit and I was just like, all right, let's try it out. So I'm listening to that and painting my way around the room, but it feels so good to be moving along with this. So I'm gonna put the camera down and keep painting, but I'll let you know how we get along, and I'm excited to do like the proper reveal a little bit later. So yesterday, my buddy Charles and I, who's staying with us, painted the garden archway. And, you know, I wanted painting to be done in my life because I've spent the last 2 months painting the inside of the house. But this was actually very difficult. It took a long time because the little trellises, this crisscross here, it's difficult to get the paintbrush in all of the places, but we did our best and I think it looks pretty good. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take this and we're going to put it into its new home at the entrance of the garden. Okay, so this is the entryway to the garden, and this is the pipe that's bringing water to the sleep out. It was above the brick and right when you walked into the garden, which is definitely a bit of a tripping hazard. So we've dug up the brick here and we're gonna bury the water pipe. We also found these, which we think are electrical, so we've got those out of the way. We've just kind of duct taped them together and then we've malleted them down with some little metal stakes. And then we're gonna get this nice and low and flush, hopefully, so that we can bury it, put the bricks back down, and then go about getting the archway into the ground. So we haven't mounted it. We've gotten the trellised archway into place, after we have dug down we've buried the water hose, which is connected out to the sleep out, and so that's hidden now and it's not a tripping hazard. But the problem is that the archway has these two pieces of wood on the bottom that are kind of stabilizing it. But once we have the archway screwed into the fence posts, it should be quite stable. So, and we don't want to have to lift up all the bricks and dig down again. There's just all these little problems. So what we're going to do is we're just going to cut off the bottom pieces of wood, these two little ones that are right there, and then we're going to drill some pilot holes into the fence post through these vertical pieces of wood on the archway, and then we're just gonna drill it in to the fence post, mount it, and then make it all nice and flush, cover it up, dig in some holes, put the grapes into the ground, and then we should be good to go.
That's a smart plan.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Right in there.
So I say we did the two bottom ones.
Yeah, one line. What about the very bottom?
Yeah, we can put one on the bottom, yeah for sure. You want to plant the grapes as well, eh?
Yeah. So look at that. Boom. This is not going anywhere. It's on there. Stable. It's flush. It's time to plant these grapes. What we're going to do is we're going to remove these and we're just going to pull them back so that the new edge is lined up with the edge of the trellis. And then we're going to remove this weed mat from here, we'll dig the holes, and we'll plant the grapes right on either side of the trellis. Okay. Perfect fit. So we're just going to use the brush and pull back the lime and the bricks so that we have it flush, and it's also going to give us a little bit more space in the garden bed because it looks like there's some wire there that maybe was used to grow climbing plants like beans, and we have a lot of green beans seeds that are in the little starter kit, so yeah, we can get them in there too. So we just finished using the sanders, and now Charles is using a technique I'm not familiar with, but it is smooth. So I'm gonna let him explain.
Well, it's just a steel wool, basically with sanding. You're trying to remove the scratches from the last grit you used. So steel wool is just as fine as you can get.
Oh,
so,
yeah?
So basically just trying to get as smooth as possible you can.
So steel wool instead of sandpaper?
Well, you could use sandpaper, but you know, there's like so many numbers for sandpaper. You can skip a couple of steps and just go for steel wool and it should be fine.
It is so smooth right now, you guys, I can't tell you. And this was covered in burn marks, like they had taken hot pans and just put it right on the wood, and those burns are gone. So we're all done sanding. So we've just put a little bit of this painter's tape along the edges so that none of the stain gets where it's not supposed to be. But yeah, this is gonna look really nice when it's done. So what do we have here? This polyurethane.
Yeah, it's pretty popular. It's one of the options you can use on countertops, or it's also used on flooring. So I use it a little bit in my van actually.
Nice.
Look at that wood grain popping out.
Smells like a sailboat.
I want to try not to get bubbles.
So what are you doing now?
Just getting that first coat in, maintaining a wet edge, and try not to get any bubbles. You also don't want to put too much on. Yeah, you're just basically sealing the wood so the grain doesn't pop up. Then you're going to come in and sand it, apply another coat, and so on and so forth.
After spending a few days staying with us and helping out around the homestead, Charles packed up his surfboards and got ready to drive back up north to Gisborne for a few more weeks before he sells his van in Auckland and flies back to California, capping off 2 years of his life here in New Zealand. I can't speak for the feelings he has, but whenever I had moments like his, where I'm leaving a place I've lived for a while, saying goodbye to friendships I've formed and places that feel like home, I always just end up feeling grateful. There's a bittersweet beauty in the end of a chapter, a conflicting ebb and flow of emotions, happiness, sadness, gratitude for the time spent, perhaps twinges of guilt for not spending as much time as you could have with a person. But that's life, isn't it? You make the most of the time you have, and you do your best to surround yourself with good people who enrich your life, share laughs, smiles, advice, and hardships, helping us along our way on this crazy wild road called life. I couldn't help but feel that bittersweet emotion when Charles said goodbye and hit the road. He was a connection to my life and my friends and family in San Diego, and it was so great having him here in New Zealand. But for now, our paths diverge, and I can only hope that someday in the future they intersect again, because good friends are hard to come by. Farewell, Charles. Boa viagem, irmão. See you soon, brother.